All right, so here are the answers for Monday's starters. The first two problems are problems that we did on the test, and these were two of the most missed problems, so I wanted to go over them. If I've eaten 3/8 of the total food I packed for my camping trip, what percentage do I have left? So if you've eaten 3/8, that means if you have a whole, which is 8/8, and you take away that 3/8, that means that the fraction that you have left is 5/8. But we want to know what the percentage is for that. So there are a couple different ways that you can do that problem. You can do 5/8 is equal to, and then we do the percent over 100. So 5 times 100 is 500. And 8 times x is 8x. And remember that those two things have to be equal when we're proportional. So we're trying to figure out 8 times some number to give us 500. And if we don't know what that number is, we're just setting up that equation, dividing by 8 on both sides of the equation so that we can figure out 8 times what equals 500. So we do 500 divided by 8, and that is 62 and 5/10, and that equals our percent. So that's a good way to do that if we've got calculators. We've got 62.5%. If you don't have a calculator and you're trying to figure out a percent, then you need to do a division problem, and you divide the top number 5 by 8 on the bottom. So we're taking our fraction of 5/8 and we would divide. 8 does not go into 5, so we put a decimal and a 0. 8 goes into 50 6 times. 6 times 8 is 48. And then we subtract 50 minus 48 is 2. We add another 0 and bring that down. 8 goes into 20 twice. 2 times 8 is 16. And 20 minus 16 is 4. And then we add another 0. And 8 goes into 40 5 times. 5 times 8 is 40. So then we'd have our decimal of 625 thousandths, and to change that decimal to a percent, we would move that decimal point over 2 places to the right, and that would give us our 62.5%. So just two different ways. If you have a calculator, you can go ahead and set up a proportion where we're figuring out the part over the whole is percent over 100. If you have to do it without a calculator, you divide 5 by 8 to get that 625 thousandths, and then move the decimal 2 places to still get 62.5%. And then for number 2, if my beakers are the same size and are all filled, and they're a half, 6/10, 35%, 475 thousandths, 7/8, 3/8, and 75%, what are the arrangements from low to high? So if I were looking at this, I would look at a half as being in the middle, and then I would look at my numbers that are less than a half, and then I would look at my numbers that are more than a half. So 6/10 is more. 35% is less than 50%, so I would put that in my less column. 475 thousandths is also less because I would have to have 500 thousandths if it was more than half. 7/8 is going to be more because 4/8 is the half. 3/8 is less than half because 4/8 is half. And then 75% we know is more than 50%, which is half. And so then I would look at these and I would say, all right, I've got 35%. If I move this decimal over 2 places, that would give me 47.5%. And then 3/8, I would have to figure out the percent. So I would just do 3 divided by 8. I would add in my decimal. 8 goes into 30 3 times. 3 times 8 is 24. 30 minus 24 is 6. And so 8 goes into 67 times. 7 times 8 is 56. 60 minus 56 is 4. And so that would be 375 thousandths. And if I was changing that to a percent, I would move that decimal over twice. So I would have 35% is the smallest. Then my 3/8 that I just did would have been 37.5%. And then I have my 475 thousandths, which would have been 47.5%. Then I know my half is in the middle. And then as I look at my 3 that are here, you should know that 6/10 is 60%. I'm going to put this over here. And then I'm looking at 7/8 and 75% to try to see which one of those is bigger. And I'm going to divide 7 by 8 to figure out my percent on that. 8 goes into 7, it doesn't. 8 goes into 78 times. 8 times 8 is 64. I already should know that this is going to be bigger than 75%, but I'm going to finish that problem. 70 minus 64 is 6. 8 goes into 67 times, and then I have 7 times 8 is 56. 60 minus 56 is 4. I bring down that last 0. 8 goes into 45 times. So if I move the decimal point twice on that, it would be 87.5%. So I've got 75% next, and then 7/8 is the biggest. So I think that that's the easiest way to do that without switching all of those. So we've got 35%, 3/8, 475 thousandths. My half is in the middle. Then 6/10, 75%, and 7/8. Carmen took one of her friends out to lunch. The lunches cost $100 and she paid 2% sales tax. If Carmen left an 18% tip on the $100, how much in total did she pay? So we're looking at $100 and paying 2% sales tax, which if you don't know what that is, you can set up your proportion to do your 2%. And then X over 100, because 100's the whole. And if you just look at these, like these two things have to be equal. So if this is 2 over 100, then this also would have to be 2 over 100 for that to be equal. So the sales tax was $2. And then if she left an 18% tip on $100, so again, if you don't know what that is, the $100 is here, and then we're saying 18% is the tip. And again, these two things have to be equal when we cross multiply, which means 18 over 100 has to be 18 over 100 on this side too. You shouldn't have to cross multiply to figure that out. So $18 is the tip. And then the question is, how much total did she pay? So we paid an $18 tip, we paid $2 in sales tax, plus we paid $100 for the lunches. So $100 plus the $2 tip, I'm sorry, $2 tax plus $18 in the tip would be $120.